Aloha, it's 365 Hawaii.
With Julie and Eric Zemelis, and today we are at Old Airport on the beach because
it's a beautiful day out today. We have to rub it in with you guys on the mainland with your -5 and -20 degree temperatures. So we thought we'd sweat a little just for you guys.
Yeah, it's 80 degrees.
Yeah.
So we are on the eve of New Year's Eve. And what we wanted to do was kind of give you guys some predictions for Hawaii Island in 2023. Give you guys something to look forward to with things that we do know.
And things that might be coming up. It's kind of interesting time. We started looking at all the different things. There's a lot changing, a lot happening. And we thought we'd sort of fill you in on what's going to happen instead of the standard what happened in 2022, which most people do.
Right, and so we're going to tell you maybe some about things that we do know and things that we think might happen, and we're going to give you our big fat opinion because there's a level of you enjoy that as well, I think.
Yes, definitely. So what we're going to talk about, what's new on the west side of the island, and these are sort of what we know for sure. So the first one is let's talk about the lava because that was always such a hot topic. And as you guys know, Mauna Loa did erupt. And it went on for 11 days total, and it was spectacular. Julie and I got there at least 4 times during that time, so it was great. It was wow, sensational. That has ended, but the question is what's going to happen in 2023? And we do know this. There are a lot of predictions, but under Kilauea, they've been predicting. Well, they haven't been predicting. They've been having a lot of earthquakes that have been going on lately, which usually mean that the magma chamber is filling up. And both Mauna Loa and Kilauea are not active at this time, but the fact that the lava chambers are filling up usually means that somewhere down the road there should be lava again.
Now I'm going to say lava in Kilauea.
Yeah, I agree. Lava in Kilauea, not in Mauna Loa.
No, because Mauna Loa only goes like every 30 years or so, and I think that she blew her lid enough that it released
it's going to take a while to get back.
Right.
So there you go. So that is lava for 2020. Okay, let's talk about Ironman.
Okay, so in 2022, you guys knew that we had a explosion of humanity here on the island.
5,000 participants compared to regularly 2,200.
Right, because they were backing up their COVID backup thing. And so they had 2 days, Thursday and Saturday. One was for the women's and one was for the men. And we had so many people here. So some people said, wow, so many people here, there must be a lot of money for the Kona community. Yeah. But it turned out to be kind of a lot of headache, actually. And we didn't have enough volunteers, and it kind of didn't go very smooth. So they changed it. So
now they're going to do 2 days, right? They're going to do they're going to do the men's. They're going to start next year with the women's here in Kona, and then the men's next year will be in France.
Right.
And then they're going to switch every other year, so it'll make it a little bit smaller, a little more manageable here in Kona.
And so therefore, there will only be 1 day Ironman.
And half as many people at the same time.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be like to where it was before, like in 2019.
Okay,
which was manageable here for Kona.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So infrastructure, traffic, volunteers, the whole spiel.
Yeah.
So that way we didn't lose the whole thing, which is great because we do get millions of dollars from the Ironman Foundation to help the charities in this, city. But the business owners were aghast at how many people kind of overran our town in 2022. So I think that we'll see a lot more happier people.
I think so. Even the residents will be a little happier with that.
That's my prediction for 2023. Happier people during 2020 Ironman.
Okay, so the other one is that our reefs are going to benefit this year because this year in 2023 they passed the sunscreen ban here in Hawaii, which means that you cannot buy toxic sunscreens at the grocery store / wherever you buy sunscreens.
Right, and they don't want you to bring it to Hawaii Island. Now, this is a Hawaii Island specific law, you guys. Overall, across the state, oxybenzone has been kicked out. But for Hawaii Island specifically, they do not want toxic sunscreen with any chemicals. So only mineral sunscreen is allowed on Hawaii Island, actually starting now. It started on December 1st. So our prediction is that our coral reefs will actually start to get healthier, hopefully with this new addition to taking care of the oceans with the proper sunscreen.
And this took a long time. This started way back in 2018-19 when they decided to actually get this rolling. So,
yeah, but you know what the story is too?
What's that?
That Maui went along and did this kind of a thing for their community, and the local elementary school, the kids said, if it can happen in Maui, how come it can't happen on Hawaii Island? So they actually contacted our councilwoman, and she helped bring that idea forth to the council, and they said, you know what, if the kids are willing to try something innovative, we want to show them that their voices can be heard, and they actually changed the law within a few months of these kids bringing this to the attention of the city council.
Well, that's a good story. I didn't know that.
There you go.
I should kind of feel proud to have some smart kids around.
Right, because you know what? Because we're handing this island to them and their future as well as Earth. So it's good to see kids getting a chance to see that their voices actually count.
So okay, so then let's talk about downtown. The things we know downtown is that the remodel on Uncle Billy's continues. They're going to turn into. They're going to do a. I would laugh in the car world. It's called a resto mod, but they're going to sort of keep it original, but upgrade it to all new standards. Is what they're going to do. And Julie's favorite is that they're going to have a bar on the top of the roof.
A rooftop bar.
Yes, it doesn't get much better than that. So they started work on that. So they're going to just. I assume that's just going to kind of continue to roll forward.
The joke is though is that we're not seeing exactly the fastest human beings working on that remodel.
No. You could say that. Everything is just slow here. It has nothing to do with that one in particular. Everybody thinks it's real slow. And the other really exciting news is that the Kona Village is going to be opening up in
2023. So May.
2023. May? They're talking about May.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. And they're already taking reservations. If you're excited about the Kona Village, you can actually start going now. And what I heard, can I give a little scuttlebutt?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so Laureen Jobs, who was married to Steve, is one of the major investors. And I heard, a little scuttlebutt, that she herself had wanted a special event this summer. So they hurried up the opening a little bit. But it won't be a full opening. It'll be a soft opening so that they can have this event, right?
Yeah.
So we're probably not going to see the full village open, like all the way open, until probably at the end of summer, early fall.
Yeah.
But if you go early, you can see it now and not to be with all the people, because they did increase the amount of hollies that they do have at that event.
They do, and they also increased the price for everything too. It tends to be a very expensive place to go at this particular point.
My trend on that one might be the fact that you might be seeing $2,500 to $3,000 a night room.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll see.
So moving on. We've in downtown we've got supposedly a new daiquiri bar that's going to be opening up.
Okay, that's not supposedly.
Okay, it's a fact. That's why it's here.
That's why it's there. It's going to be underneath the Tiki Cheeky bar, and we talked to the guy.
Yep.
And
he's the same guys that own Cheeky Tiki.
Yep.
We're going to open up a daiquiri down below.
Yep. And there's some fake grass down there already, so you guys can take your daiquiris out onto the lawn and look out over the ocean, and it's going to be geared towards people who are just wandering through that whole area in front of the pier.
So all right. So we got a funny one for you on this one. You know that going to Costco is always a real pain because just even getting into the parking lot is always difficult because they have those ways to get in. Well, they just opened up a new road coming into Costco from the new shopping center that they're planning on opening on the other side. And it makes it a lot easier. So before you get to Hinalani, there's a turn off there, and you can head up to Costco that way.
Yep, and it's spanking new road, and it's the lights that were the way to get into the Coloco Interpretive Center is the lights that you'll now use to get into the back end of that whole new industrial area. So I got a chance to drive that yesterday. I put it on my Kona Newbies group, and I go, oh my gosh, it's a new road. And all these people, I've been driving that for a month. And then they go like this, shh, don't tell people. So it's a nice new way to access that area. And that area around there, our prediction, is obviously going to grow a little bit more with different things that they're going to be building in that area.
Okay, so one other thing we heard that's going to go on downtown, we'll have to see if this is a hearsay. I can't guarantee this, but it would sort of fall into that. Is that they're talking about remodeling the Seaside Motel.
Right.
And that's going to be they're going to bring it up to more. They're going to make it more fancy. They bring it up to current standards because it's an old hotel.
Yeah. So the prediction on this is, Eric Seamless.
Yep.
You're not going to find cheap places to stay anywhere in West Hawaii.
Yes. Well,
I think the Monaga Hotel might still be your best bet for cheap.
I think we'll cover that in another section of this video as well.
Right, but that's what's happening right now in 2023 that we know of.
Yeah, the things we know. If you like the channel, you like our content, and you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. And then the other thing I'm going to ask is if you could hit the notification buttons, because sometimes YouTube tends to lose channels, and even though you're subscribed, you might not see what we've got going on. So that way it kind of guarantees what's happening. So Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2023.
So here we are at Kailua Bay in front of the Kamehameha Courtyard by Marriott Hotel. And one of the things that we were talking about is the fact that if you can see right behind us, there's quite a few people there. It is the week between Christmas and New Year, so of course it's going to be busier than usual, but that's why we want to talk a little bit about what to expect for tourism in 2023.
So in 2022 and ever since the pandemic, we've had a lot of people that have been coming here because they were locked up for so long. So
Right.
getting out to Hawaii was like a goal for a lot of people. I think some people call it revenge tourism.
Right, and we had record-breaking numbers in 2019 to begin with, so it was
Yeah, that
already
was-
on the way up.
And I think, and it was close to that now, which gives you how it is. So the question is, in 2023, what's going to happen? Is this trend going to continue, or are we going to drop off? So what we've seen is that the hotel rooms and rental cars are up by 50% since 2019. That's a pretty steep drop. I mean, excuse me, it's a pretty steep rise for the amount of time that it is. So prices have gotten much more expensive, and the question is, it looks like that it might be enough to slow down some of this crazy tourism that had been going on. And also we've got inflation going on in all the other places. We've got the war, and we've got what's left over with COVID, all these different things, inflation, that it looks like that's made it a little more challenging. And lately, even Southwest has been having some trouble over here. I don't know if you guys got on that.
That's more of a meltdown problem than it is a recession issue. But I will tell you guys that when we were looking at what the state is seeing for what's going to happen, the state is basically saying the rise of how expensive it is becoming for the entire state of Hawaii, that they do expect less people to be here because they just simply can't afford to come.
So the answer is, if you can afford to come and there's something on, it looks like that it might be a better time because it's going to be less people,
Right.
Yeah, which is good.
Right.
And the one thing that also ties into this is our service industry. And our service industry has been tapped. My son works at one of the local eating establishments here, and they have been working him pretty hard because there's just not enough people, and they keep turning people over, and nobody's got enough people to keep it on.
Right, and so they said basically across the state that service is a thing of the past, my friends. You might be seeing it in your own hometowns, but having people give you what we would have thought of as the usual amount of decent service has declined. And so it goes back to the people who have money that can stay in places, let's say like the Four Seasons, are going to get those top-notch service professionals because they can afford to pay them well. And one of the things that is causing this is that our high cost of housing makes it difficult for them to be able to employ people at the level of which they can afford to get paid.
So there you go. So expect less service at the end of the day, or just have kind of if your bar is medium for service, it should be fine. Don't expect super high end standards and everything. That makes it a little different.
Right. So we always say bring your patients. They're doing the best they can, especially during the holidays. This is where people bring their little expectations of what they should be getting.
And it's also the craziest time of the year, so it's a great combination of the two of them.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then in terms of going forward, they did say that the interest rates were probably going to stay high through at least midsummer. And so while that's happening, I'm predicting that people are trying to tighten up their belts a little bit, maybe because they got hit in the stock market, and they might be holding on to an expensive trip to Hawaii until they can see what's going to happen later on in this year.
So let's see what happens with it.
Yep. So here we are at Kailua Bay, and what we were going to talk about a little bit about is the trend towards conservation versus promotion. And what 2022 saw was that the Hawaii Tourism Authority has put their $30 million into not just all promotion around the world towards getting more people to Hawaii, which we realize they've just done too good of a job, and they decided to put half of that towards actually working with the Native Hawaiian community on conservation. And so we're going to see some different things coming up in 2023 that will reflect what's happening in that initiative.
Right. So it started out in 2022 with the ban on swimming with the dolphins is one of these issues that came up, and in 2023 it's sort of going to continue on, and we're talking about that the mana. They're talking about limiting the mana viewing and the number of boats that can go there. So because it's kind of a zoo right now, there's definitely too many people out at that particular point. Some of the other places that they're also talking about is they have at Kailua Bay, they have surfing there, and they have surf classes, and they've got huge amounts of tourists when the days are good. So they're cutting those to a certain number as well. So this goes back to that management of what it is.
Right. So the surf schools will not be able just to have a ton of surf schools out there with a bunch of people.
Four surfers per school, and only a set number of schools too.
Yeah.
So it should do a lot better out there.
So tip on that one is if you're thinking about learning how to surf while you're on vacation in Hawaii, sign up before you get here. There you go.
There you go.
And then also, and the obviously the what we're doing here is doing with the sunscreen. Making sure that people understand not to wear chemical sunscreen in the ocean. And I think what you'll start seeing on more airplanes or more advertising to the tourists when they come in.
Yeah.
You're going to see more of these please take care of the land. Please, watch what you're doing while you're here. You're going to start seeing that message more and more because the effort towards letting people know that when you come, you have to be respectful. You need to understand that we are working with the host culture and that we need to preserve our resources so that everyone can enjoy them for years to come. And you're going to start seeing a little bit more of that message.
That's right. And a couple other things trends that we see. They're going to start charging for, example, Kailua is going to start charging for parking down there, and some of the other beaches have, and it used to be kind of free, but they're ramping that up, and with the idea is that this money would then go back into the system to help but protect the island as well, because we have so many people going.
And also, when Eric and I just did our last update, we did an update about they're building the new bathrooms at Magic's Beach, and the parking lot fees will help pay for those kinds of upgrade projects to the bathrooms and the public facilities up and down the coast, which is a good thing.
Right. And a couple other examples of this would be at Pono Valley. They've got a sort of almost like a ranger station that you check in with, so they let you know that there's some hayouts there you need to be careful of, and that the beach now is ending at the end of the beach, and you're not allowed to go to the second valley over. Just to give you, it's sort of keeping what's special by not allowing people to go there.
They're keeping the box is getting a little bit more tight around these special places on the island.
Yeah.
Which, you know what though, is if you think about the long-term effects of what happens on the island, it's a good thing. Those places need to rest. But the freewheeling ways are starting to be looked at of how it would control what's happening with that space for less degradation of the resources in the area.
Okay, one of the last things we're going to talk about today is housing. And yes, we've got tourism and hotels and all that, but this is actually housing that people that are going to live here for anybody that might be interested in moving there, which sort of ties in because we are realtors with KW Big Island. And then Julie's going to kind of fill you in a little bit of what's going on with that.
Right. So one of the things that's happening, as you guys can see, is the Royal Coast Resort behind us. There's actually one for sale right behind us. Is that we are experts in helping people find housing in West Hawaii, either condos or single-family homes. And one of the things that we're seeing actually is the trends for 2023 are already happening now. Is the fact that interest rates have gone up. We all know this. It has slowed the housing market down considerably. What it's also done is put a lot of sellers thinking that maybe now is not the time to sell, so we don't have a lot to sell right now. So the trend on that would be when inflation gets under control and they lower the interest rate sometime, they're thinking maybe summer, early fall, then the housing market should start kind of cranking back up again. But if you guys do want to see a live housing update, we have a booth at the Kona Kahala Chamber of Commerce Living and Design Expo. In fact, we are sponsors, 365 Hawaii Living, and we will be discussing the housing market. It's going to be on January 14th and 15th, and we have this big booth to talk about housing in general, housing trends, the market update. We're also going to be bringing you life in Hawaii. We have some nonprofits talking about what people can do to volunteer to make life better for themselves and others here in Hawaii, and it is free. You can get into the convention center down here in Keauhou at the Outrigger. Between those 2 days, free. Come see us. We will be doing prizes.
What day was that again?
It's January 14th and 15th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday, so it's 2 weeks or so from now.
Yep.
So if you're seeing this in your local, come see us. If you're flying in, come see us. We are also doing a meet and greet with Eric and I, and you guys are going to get a chance to come over and say hi, and we get a chance to hopefully, if you have ideas for us for 2023, come and give them to us, or drop them down here in the comment section.
With that, we'll call it an end and say aloha.